How to take over mortgages subject to. Guys, this is Rick Ginn with Flip with Rick. And in this video, we're going to dive in how to use subject to deals in your wholesaling businesses. And a lot of you are overlooking this because you're so laser focused on just wholesaling. This is a strategy where leads come from your wholesaling business, and I'm going to show you how to do it. But first, before we get started, you guys know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button if you want to hear more great content just like this from me and Zach. Okay, so you're tuning in to find out how to incorporate subject to deals into your wholesaling pipeline. So the first question is, why am I doing it? The reality is it's another revenue source for you, and it will truly allow you to achieve generational wealth by using this strategy in your wholesaling business. So why not you? You should do it. Don't be limited to just wholesaling high equity deals. Let me show you how you can take an existing property and make cash flow from day one till the day you actually sell it by using subject to deals in your wholesaling business. It actually sounds crazy. And to be honest with you, most wholesalers have no idea how to do this because they're so busy just trying to grab, deals 60, 70 cents on the dollar. And by all means, take those deals. But eventually you will cross a deal where you can use this specific strategy and you can profit massively with wholesaling. What is it and how does it work? So first of all, this strategy is used when some other techniques don't work in wholesaling. And most of the time, this is only talked to in the subject to courses. And I'm just going to give it to you for free. So I did this strategy long before I even completely understood how to do a subject to deal. So those of you asking what's a subject to deal, it's exactly what it is. It means you're taking over the property subject to the existing mortgage. That's it. So it's really simple. So if you bought a property with a $100,000 mortgage in place and it's $900 a month, then you take it over with all its debt, its payment structure, and all the terms and everything built into the mortgage. So it's simply that. So how do we incorporate this in wholesaling, and how can you utilize it in your wholesaling business? It's really simple. A lot of times we use this strategy when there's debt already in place, also known as the mortgage, and you have to outcompete other wholesalers in your market, or maybe you have to offer them a little bit more. This strategy gives you the ability to pay more than any other wholesaler in your area. The easiest way to do it is to walk you through the typical deal that we do here at Flip with Rick. So you guys know I love probates. Probates are, to me, the absolute best method to find really smoking profitable real estate investment deals. So I like deals that have probate. Why probate? Well, obviously, they're properties with deferred maintenance. Somebody wants to get rid of it, and typically they want to sell it fast. So that's why we love it. But it goes further. A lead that's in probate and you're talking to them. So let's give an example. Say you're looking to buy the property for $100,000. Say you could sell it for $120,000, $125,000, okay? And they're getting, say it's in good shape. So say it's worth $125,000, $135,000, something like that. And you're looking to target the property around, say, 90, 95, and saying you can wholesale it like 110, 115 and make it quick. So a lot of times the seller comes back, well, I can't take less than like 110. I can't take less than 100. And you gather this information. You know that your offer of like 80 grand, you've tried it. It didn't stick. It didn't work. Simply, you're just going to go back to the seller and ask them, what if I could take over the existing mortgage? Is that something you're interested in? And just watch the reaction. Now, you're going to get one or two reactions every time. Are you nuts? Are you crazy? No, I just want to help you out. A lot of times they go, I don't care what you do. I'm sick and tired of paying the mortgage. That's your key right there, is you have flexibility. If you can buy the property at 80 grand, knock your socks off. A lot of times, the reason the seller can't take a lower offer is because they have a mortgage on it. You never know. They could have just refinanced it. Maybe they had an original $150,000 mortgage. Maybe it's down to $100,000 now. Maybe it's down to $90,000. In this example, let's assume there's a $90,000 mortgage on it. You offered 80 grand and like, hey, I just can't do it. And just say, listen, like the most I could have gone to was 90. So maybe what if you just offered them and then they go, well, I've got offers at 95, 96,000 and I go, listen, like how are you going to make that work? Because by the time you do the closing cost, maybe the other wholesalers offer closing cost. I don't know. Here's a simple way is if you can take over that mortgage and just cash them out the difference, just say you bought the property for 100,000. Just say, listen, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, I'm going to pay you $100,000. But what I'd like to do is take over the existing debt on the property. You find out if it's, find out what the payment is. I'm going to go into that a little bit later in the video and make sure it's current. You do not want to buy it when it's 3 years behind because you have to make up all those back payments and your numbers are probably not going to work out. Doesn't mean you can't do the deal. You make an offer of $100,000. It has a $90,000 mortgage balance left on it. It doesn't mean it was the original amount. Here is the key. Like, why would the seller take an offer and do a subject to? Simple. You're going to pay them more. There's absolutely zero closing cost to them. And guess what? You can do it quick. So we're still going to run a title search on the property, make sure there's no other liens, make sure the taxes are paid, make sure everything's current. But it gives you the ability to move on a property in my opinion, 7 days or less. I've done them in a couple days. Now, as I said, do the title search, make sure there's nothing else you're getting with the property because you get everything with it, not only the mortgage, any liens, any past due taxes. So the question is, Rick, okay, I made a $100,000 offer. I'm taking over a $90,000 mortgage. What do I do now? Guys, this is really, really simple at this point. But before I get into tell you what to do with it, let's explain some basic rules if you're going to take it over. And it's important. Number one, verify what the balance is on the mortgage and the monthly payment. You can actually work with your title company, or you can actually just get an authorization. You can actually do it yourself. As long as you have permission from the seller to reach out to your bank and verify this information, they'll send you an email, a fax, a letter, and verify that information. A lot of times they'll do it over the phone once you're authorized. The authorization, just so you know, usually takes 3 business days. So that's why I'm giving you 7 to 10 days before you can take the property over. Number 2, you're going to want to verify the cash flows on the property. What do I mean by cash flows? Find out what the monthly payment is on it. So in this event, say it's $800, and then you want to find out if PI and TI is included. So principal and interest, 95% of the time, that's what the mortgage is. The T stands for taxes. The I stands for insurance. A lot of times when people buy houses with little to no money, the bank's going to require to put that money in escrow to make sure the taxes are paid and the insurance is paid along with the mortgage on a monthly basis. As the mortgage matures, you have the ability to take it off, but you have to ask for it. It's never just like given. So in that event is once you do that, then you want to verify what are the neighborhood rents just to make sure you have options. It doesn't mean you have to rent the property, but the reason you want to know this is your end buyer is going to want to know this information because a lot of times they're landlords and it will just help out your situation. So the idea is to make sure there's some sort of spread there. So if you had an $800 or $900 payment and the rents are $1,500, you're probably really in good shape. Where you have to watch out if the mortgage is like a crazy number, like $1,800, $1,900, and the rents are $1,200, heed the warning. There's something wrong. They might have modified the mortgage. They might be behind on payments or something like that. And you're going to have to take a much, much deeper dive into it to make that work. But we're talking wholesaling. We're looking for cash up front to make it work. So Rick, you're probably asking is how am I going to make this happen? Guys, it's real simple. First of all, you have to get the seller's permission. So in this event, we're talking to probably the heirs of the probate. What's the benefit of taking them? Little to no closing cost, a fast transaction, and guess what? When they basically let you take the mortgage over subject to, what is the risk? The bank can't come after them, right? Number 2, you're giving them cash at the closing. They're getting their equity up front out of it. And number 3, worst case scenario, if someone didn't make a payment on the mortgage or something like that, which we're never going to let happen, they cannot come after the heirs, the personal representative, the executor of the will, because they never signed for the mortgage. So to me, probates are the easiest way to do this. It's not only probates. If it's outside of a probate, understand there are some risks if they're giving you their home, and it's their personal guarantee, maybe it's a husband and a wife on it, you have a much bigger obstacle. 9 times out of 10, they're only going to do that if that's their last resort and it's the only way they can sell their house. So why I like probates is because there's no expiration. Once the mortgage is paid off, it's paid off. Here's the real gold in this, guys. And this is what so many people miss. Look at the amortization. So really simple. If somebody took out a mortgage and say in 2000 and say you're in 2021, that's 21 years, typically on a 30-year mortgage. I've seen 15-year mortgage. Guess what happens, guys? This is the really cool part. After the loan's halfway through, more and more money shifts towards paying off the principal. So every time, so if I make an $800 or $900 payment, a lot of times $700 is going to pay off principal. That is a huge windfall. In the first 5 years of a loan, 95% of the money goes to interest. If you ever look at an amortization schedule, you can picture it, is very little goes to the principal until you get to year like 14, 15, and then it really ramps up. So there's an intersection between interest and principal. If you're halfway through a loan, it's golden because the loan gets paid off very fast. So it's really cool. That's why I like to do them on that. So we verified the cash flow. It works. Number 2, you want to use properties that need little repair. It's just easier. Why do I say that, Rick? We're talking about wholesaling. Because, guys, just because you're a wholesaler doesn't mean you can't take the property to market and make it work. If the property needs little to no repairs, it's very easy to find an end buyer in your market that you can basically offer financing in place to the current financing. I'm not going to get deep in the weeds on this one. It's a whole nother topic, but you actually have the ability to do it. If you want to partner up someone and have him walk you through the paperwork on how to do it, that's how you can maximize the money. But in most of the time, we're taking on properties that need repairs, guys. So, hey, Rick, it needs, 20, 30K of rehab. Very common on our properties. That's fine. So we're paying $100,000 for the property. So you're probably saying, okay, $90,000 mortgage. Rick, where am I going to come up with the 10 grand? Here's the beauty. You're a wholesaler. You're not coming up with the 10 grand. You might have to leave a small deposit, whatever you got to do to lock it up. But in most cases, what you're going to do is take the next 30 days, or if you can get 60 days, 45 days, whatever you need. Typically, these probate houses, they're going to be vacant. A vacant house is so much better. And you can go out and find a rehabber, a landlord, but I like rehabbers that fixes up a couple properties a year. You don't want the guy that does 30 properties a year because he's just going to beat you up on the price. And go, hey, listen, I have this property. Say you offer it to him for $125,000. What I can do is, remember, you're into it for 100 and you got to do 10 grand up front. So you can never collect less than 10 grand and everyone needs to get paid. Instead of charging him, you can do 125 and he can cash you out and the mortgage is paid off. And that works too. Don't get me wrong. But why not this? Why don't you just charge him 130? And 9 times out of 10, this guy's going to go out and get a private loan, or even worse, like a hard money loan. Charge him 130, 135. And here's the really cool part is, you take whatever you want up front. This is where the creativity in all this works. So, you're on the hook for 10. So you got to cover 10. You have a $10,000 balance. Just say the original mortgage is 4%. You're going to write him a balance for $10,000 plus what else? The $90,000. So basically you're giving him a mortgage in total for $100,000. Your original interest rate is 4%. And we're going to do this magical thing called interest arbitrage. Since this is considered private money, you can charge up to the maximum amount of percentage. Now, don't go crazy, but it's not unheard to get anywhere from 9, 10, 11, maybe even up to 12%. Check your usury laws in your state. I'm not a lawyer, but I like to do 10%. I've done as high as 12%. And if you're doing 4%, keep in mind, 4% to say 12%, you're making 8% on that $90,000, which is like magical money. And number two, your $10,000, you're going to secure that part with a second mortgage, perfectly legal to do because you have an interest in it. He signs it, and that money's earning 10 to 12%. And you can set the terms however long. Do you want payment in 90 days? You want it in 6 months? If you're like me, you can do, hey, listen, there's 10 years left on this mortgage. Let's do it for 10 years. That's cash flow for the next 10 years of your life. You never have to work of it. It is as close as you're going to get to passive income in real estate investing, especially in wholesaling. So you get your 10 grand up front and you get a nice monthly check with a payoff for an additional 10 grand at the end. You can structure it however you want. This is why I love wholesaling. This is why I love real estate, because it's creative. It's completely up to you. It's fun. Like you're only constrained by what you can think of. Now, you can't charge 18%. You can't do anything like that. So keep in mind, most of these guys are used to like working with hard money. So you're going to be a little bit nicer than hard money. There's a reason they call it hard money. But if you want to charge points, charge points. What are points, Rick? Points is just a fancy word for like an upfront charge. So if you charge 4 points and you do a $100,000 loan, that's $4K, and you can build it into the note. Or what I like to do is have them prepay it up front. So instead of giving you the $10,000, now they're going to give you $14,000. Guys, I just want to give you like creative ideas. This isn't as complicated as it sounds. If you're new to this, you can reach out to an investor to kind of work with you. Give them a few bucks to help you put the paperwork together. But this is simple. You're just taking over an existing mortgage and basically you're repurposing it so you can get a higher dollar. And yes, you can get on the wholesale side, particularly on the properties you rehab, because you just offered a service. The value in this is not only the deal, but it's the financing. You just saved the rehabber from going out and get a private money loan, which he can't stand it. Yes, he's going to have to do paperwork with you and you're going to have to underwrite it and he has to sign promissory notes and mortgages, but I guarantee you're going to be a lot nicer to him and easier than a hard money lender. It's up to you. There's so much magic in these deals. The key wholesale deal with an existing mortgage is the interest arbitrage. So if the interest is at 4% and you wind up charging 10 or 12, and remember, you make money on the original balance of the mortgage, which said was 90,000, you're putting another 10 on the balance how they pay you. I mean, significant amount of money. Imagine if you did a few of them. Remember, if you do multiple ones, you need to talk to a lawyer to make sure you're following all the laws on the books. Having multiple mortgages, there is some underwriting guidelines you have to follow with the current legislation. Simply covering this, guys, if there is a property, particularly a probate or somebody who needs to sell it with an existing mortgage and the property needs a ton of repairs, yes, you can wholesale it with that mortgage. You're going to pay them a little bit more, but here's the really cool part. Your end buyer, the rehab, the landlord, the person whoever's going to buy it, they're definitely going to pay you more because you're going to make it much easier on them and they don't have to go out and get a traditional bank loan. They don't have to go out and get hard money. It's a win-win. You guys are smart. You don't have to wholesale everything, but this is an option. You can actually use the wholesale strategy. And remember, if you get a property that doesn't need a ton of repairs, by all means, take it to the ends and get the maximum amount of dollar. This is why I love real estate. This is my 18 years of passion of doing this, because really, you help the seller out, you help the buyer out, you help yourself out, your family, you're providing a service. Everybody wins. This is why we love this business. If you guys want to keep hearing and seeing videos just like that, hit that subscribe button. Guys, share this. If you think someone can get value from it, we are so much more than just wholesalers. You guys, you have so much ability to do deals, and I want you to sometimes think outside the box. If there's a mortgage in place and they're willing to let you take it over, in my opinion, the sky is the limit. It just gives you options. And here's the cool part. You don't have to solve what you're going to do with that property in front of that homeowner. You can come out and you can work with sites like Flip with Rick. You can work with Zach, you work with myself. Just find someone to help you out with it, because there's great opportunity in the financing and I want you to take advantage of it. So guys, this is Rick with Flip with Rick, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.